Welcome back to another Just 5 Mins. The slightly crazy version. Sorry about any sound in the background. I've got a little aircon running because it's unusually quite warm in the UK. But talking about crazy things, obviously it's not new news at all, but I did post on LinkedIn about the fact that OpenAI, i.e. ChatGPT, those folks, bought something called Windsurf for $3 billion. But interestingly, the little side note to that was another competitor of Windsurf called Cursor AI. Allegedly, OpenAI were in talks or were going to buy Cursor AI first, but they couldn't agree on a price. But anyway, Cursor AI have got funding from other sources, valuing them at between 9 and 10 billion. And keep in mind, these two things, what are they? Well, they are IDEs, IDEs, but glorified code editors. So, you know, if you're writing sort of code of any type, you can use, well, essentially they're both based on Visual Studio Code, which is open source, for goodness sake. So not only have they just cloned VS Code, obviously they've done a lot more work. I don't want to be unfair. But essentially, you know, that's all open source software that they've been bought for $3 billion, and Cursor AI is valued at 9 to 10 billion. But anyway, I'm just jealous, really. That's all. Moving on, what have we got today? AI Toolkit, funny enough, in VS Code. All of this is free, and what is it? Well, it's an extension, like an add-in to VS Code. There's loads of add-ins for VS Code, and actually, therefore, Windsurf and Cursor AI and anything that's based on VS Code. But anyway, AI Toolkit from Microsoft is actually really good. I've had it for a few months and dabbled a little bit here and there, but essentially, and I really do want to get over this, you don't have to be a full-on developer to really use this. I think that's the problem. There's a lot of this, you know, noise and everything else, and I really do want to try to show how your everyday folks can actually have a play with this, even if it's just for experimentation and understanding a few things. But essentially, the AI Toolkit, it's, like I say, it's free, but also it allows you to interact with several different models, both you know, up in the cloud, the big models like ChatGPT and all of those sorts of things, but also local models that you can run on your own sort of laptop. And interestingly, there's a lot of these models that can do amazing things that can actually run on just a fairly average laptop, PC, or whatever. Now, if you've got these clever you know, latest sort of machines with NPUs and certainly GPUs. An NPU is the neural processor unit that's in the, you know, like the newer Windows Copilot Plus PCs and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, the idea is that even if you've got, like I do, my little laptop and my little PC are nothing to write home about. They're 16 gig of RAM, I think, but they're not massively fast CPUs. The GPUs are next to nothing. You know, they're like, you know, very small. But you can run these local models quite well. So VS Code AI Toolkit lets you do just that. So you can actually run these models, test them out, you know, all from one interface rather than jumping around lots of different things. But also, you know, it's running them without you having to like get specialized, you know, software to run these models like locally. So for instance, you can run something called Ollama, and there's Notebook LM or LM Studio, sorry, that's the other one, that allow you to run models locally. And of course, there's recently from the Microsoft Build conference is Azure AI Foundry Local. So Ollama is something that I've used for a while actually to run local models really well. It does a very good job. There's no doubt about it. But there's also this ONNX, ONNX, Open Neural Network Exchange, which is a model format, not a runtime. Ollama is a runtime and a model manager for running LLMs locally. But the ONNX, ONNX, is like I say, a model format, and ironically, it's built on. Azure AI Foundry Local is actually built on that ONNX ONNX runtime, sort of like under the hood, basically. But essentially, what this allows you to do is any of these sort of like Ollama, etc. LM Studio from NVIDIA, and like I said, Azure AI Foundry Local will allow you to run models locally, and that's all well and good. But you know what do you then do? Well, you can do things like there's a playground that you can actually mess around and compare different models for your same prompt. There is actually another good feature of this is where it's actually helping you build decent prompts, because as we know, garbage in, garbage out. You know, if you give really decent sort of prompts, then you're going to get better results, aren't you? So anyway, you can compare things, etc. There is an agent builder as well, which is quite cool. And the agent builder will do what it said. You can build agents, but you can build them sort of visually, test them out within AI Toolkit, but then essentially generate the code if you really want to see the code, which is quite interesting. And again, you may not want to go that far unless you're a developer, but even if you're not, being able to actually play around with this stuff and understand some of the things like fine tuning and also evaluations, you can actually, with your prompts and how things work, we all know that you put a prompt in and you can get different results out all the time. Well, one of the big things is evaluations in the AI world as well. So you can actually create evaluations to check for, all sorts of different things: intent resolution, tool call accuracy, if you're calling things like MCPs, all the relevance, the coherence, all these types of things. You can actually get really good detailed evaluations out of what you're giving to the AI models. So that's system prompts, user prompts, etc., etc. But anyway, it's a really good toolkit. It's all free. You just need VSCode on whatever flavor of laptop you've got, and install and run AI Toolkit as an extension. If you want to know more about that, or if you want to be, maybe a little demo of how that works, then get in touch. But it's really great. And like I said, it also allows you to test all these different models out. And one of the other big benefits, by the way, is that you get access to GitHub AI models that are hosted. So you don't necessarily have to pay for all these other different platforms like ChatGPT or this or that or whatever. You've got a developer hosting option, so you can actually run a lot of these models yourself without signing up for all of those other sort of platforms. So anyway, but that's what I've got. It's a really good extension for VS Code. Even if you're not a developer, if you just want to play around with this stuff, it really isn't rocket science. I mean, yes, you can go down lots of different levels, but being able to play with these models locally as well is pretty interesting. And the one thing I was going to say is things like Phi 4, which is one of the Microsoft small language models, SLMs, or things like DeepSeek and things like that. You can run locally, and they're actually surprisingly good, and they're literally just running on your local laptop. So it's quite an interesting thing to check out. Anyway, we've doubled the just 5 minutes, so I'm going to stop there. There's way too much, as always, to bang into these things, but anyway, that's what I've got this time around. I hope you're well, hope you're having a good day, a good week, and I will catch you on the next one.